your daily election 2023 update. This is Election Fix, powered by Newstalk ZB.
Kia ora, I'm Raylene Ramsay, and this is Election Fix for Tuesday, the 26th of September. Today, Chief Political Reporter Aaron Dahmen talks us through Chris Luxon's eventful day in Auckland. And political editor Jason Walls explains why Chris Hipkins is on the defensive over the wealth tax again.
Election Fix headlines.
National denies it's treating people on welfare like criminals. The party plans to introduce a traffic light system for those on the job seeker benefit, with reductions or suspension should they continue to fail to meet their obligations to look for work. It would also require people to reapply for the benefit every 6 months. Leader Chris Luxon says everyone has rights and responsibilities.
You can't just take the right of actually getting the help and the support that we want to be able to offer you without holding up your end of the deal and having a responsibility to say, I'm doing everything I can to find a job, to take a job.
But welfare advocate Max Harris is slamming the policy.
It's cruel, it's ineffective, it doesn't work, and it's going to make people's lives worse, and that's going to be even worse for the families that those people have and the communities that they're in.
The Green Party says doubling the Best Start payment is putting resources where they should be, with children and families. The policy would see payments jump from $69 a week to $140 and make it available for every child under 3. It would cost $3.7 billion over 4 years, funded by a wealth tax. Labor says it'll lay out how it will fund its billion-dollar boost for Pharmac and other promises later this week. The party is promising a $1 billion cash injection over the next 4 years for the medicine buying agency if re-elected. But how exactly it and other policies will be paid for will be finalised in the coming days.
Today was one of the last big announcements that we've got, and so hence we'll now be able to tally those up and show you how we're going to pay for them.
Election Fix. Everything you need to know from the campaign trail. Newstalk ZB.
Now to our reporters on the campaign trail. Chief Political Reporter Aaron Dahmen joins us now. Aaron, what's Chris Luxon been up to today?
Yeah, well, the day after that New South Breed research poll showed the Nats on 39.1%, Labor on 26.5%. He has been out in the strawberry fields, and although they aren't quite or weren't quite today in season, that poll, of course, shows power is ripe for his picking. He was twirling those real fruit ice creams and also probably feeling pretty sweet after overtaking Chris Hipkins in preferred Prime Minister rankings for the first time. But look, Raylene, the real action came when he hit Auckland's Northwest Mall for a real schmoozing session with the members of the public. He dropped into a coffee shop and a hair salon where he wasn't so keen to have a staffer put some moisturising cream on his hairless head. The staffer was all ready to go, had cream all over her hands, but he just would not budge. It was clearly a step too far to put that on his head. And then he played along with some different coloured dyes alongside some kids, spilt some of that on his, what I'm sure is a very expensive suit. And within 40 minutes, well, we were out of there, and Luxon would now be prepping for that TVNZ debate tomorrow night.
So he made a bit of a faux pas on the road. Tell us what happened.
He did. There was one thing that I didn't mention in that initial spiel, and that was between the spilling of the dye onto his suit and the hair salon. He walked up to a man seated with his wife in the food court, and all of a sudden, all of us media were following along. He took the man's beanie off without asking and kind of went, "Hey, what's under there?" Turns out the man was also bald, but he Haka, who we spoke to afterwards, Hi Haka rather, he wasn't fazed, and he even said it was great to meet the next future Prime Minister. But when we spoke to his wife, Ellen, afterwards, she joked it was a little bit like when John Key kept tugging on ponytails.
I love it. Thank you, Aaron.
Election Fix.
All right, Newstalk ZB's political editor Jason Walls is with us. Jason, Hipkins was announcing new policy today, but again he's used his time to have a crack at National Act and New Zealand First. How did that play out?
That's right, and what we've seen yet again is Chris Hipkins going to these locations that are very safe, not a lot of members of the public around, so we don't get stories like the one that Aaron's telling, and I think that's pretty deliberate on his media minders. apart. But opening his press conference today, he was really at pains to talk about the New Zealand First and ACT and the animosity those two parties have had against each other for several years now, bringing up old digs from the past that they've had against each other, including the time that Winston Peters was talking about a physical fight with the ACT leader and said that there'd be 3 hits, one when he hits them, one when Seymour hits the ground, and the other when he hits 111. So Chris Hipkins was talking about that with a lot of glee, but the first thing I asked him was, mate, isn't this a little bit desperate? I mean, you're supposed to be looking to win the election here, not making jokes and making light of what would be the next coalition, and he just said it was up to New Zealanders to make that decision.
So Hipkins has also been forced back on the defensive on the wealth tax again. So what's the latest there?
Well, it came this morning when Nicola Willis was actually doing a finance debate with Grant Robertson, and she put to the finance minister that Ibrahim Omar, who is a Wellington Central candidate, had said in a meeting that a wealth tax was still on the table and was something that the Labour Party was still looking at. And then as night follows day, that video made its way to media, and there it was, Ibrahim Omar saying, listen, wealth tax is on the table, we're still looking at it. So we had to put it to Chris Hipkins, like, is it still on the table? And he said, in no uncertain terms, it is not, and that Ibrahim Omar was wrong, but it's just another bad look for the Labour leader and the party that is straggling on 25% in the polls. Not looking good.
Thank you very much, as always, Jason.
Election Fix, powered by Newstalk ZB.
And that is Election Fix for Tuesday, the 26th of September. Join us again tomorrow to get the latest update on everything from the campaign trail from the Newstalk ZB newsroom. In the meantime, you can head to newstalkzb.co.nz/election 2023 for all your political news and opinion. I'm Raylene Ramsay. We'll talk again tomorrow.